you can customize these products. So instead of like launching a physical item, because like launching a physical item costs a lot of money, right? You need to invest in like design, you need to invest in engineering, you need to invest in manufacturing, you need to improve the supply chain, you need to take a look at the margins. Not to mention that hardware is difficult on its own, and you need a lot of like upfront capital. But if I want to launch a new line of watches or a new line of like clothes, I can just launch AR watches, AR products,
Nice.
and I see how people react to it. If people like it, then I might actually invest in the physical product. So that's like a huge use case, like letting people try out things that don't yet exist to see whether they're gonna buy it or not. Kind of like people like putting people on a wait list for a software product, but doing the same things for like physical products.
Welcome to the EcomXFactor podcast, where it's all about launching and scaling your business using sales funnels, automations, and smart marketing. And now, please welcome your host, the founder of EcomXFactor, Yaron Bin.
Hi Aldo, how are you?
Doing great, thanks. Thank you for asking.
Awesome, I'm happy with and we kind of each had different personal stuff, good stuff, but we kept on rescheduling. So eventually we meet, and I'm very excited. But for the people that don't know you, maybe you can share about what are you doing these days and your company and the exciting news.
Yeah, I'll be happy to share that. And yes, we started to talk about like your previous experience at Fiverr. But yeah, good busy is always, accepted and appreciated. So my name is Aldo, and as you can see, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Omnia. I started the company about 12 months ago, not so long ago, and I actually moved to a full-time role in January 2023 of this year. We work in the augmented reality field, and previously I was working as an augmented reality creator myself. So I was working on like projects that ideally would like benefit business customers. I found the company because I noticed that on the business side of things, like things are not really clear when it comes to how AR could help them. And so I decided to, shift my focus on helping other creators to share their work to businesses and helping businesses on the other side to understand how the tech could be used. And on Omnia, we're basically creating a marketplace where, these two sides of the market are being connected seamlessly. So we connect creators with businesses, we connect software providers in the aerospace with businesses. And for business, the benefits there is that a normal like business owner, especially like medium-sized businesses, can understand what the tech does, but they can also maximize their budget because they're going to get access to different development options. So they can work with a partner, or they can use local tools at a discounted price, and they can access, these tools from the Omnia marketplace, or they can potentially like use a generative AI tool that we're also building as part of our launch, where we're about to launch in June. And I was really fascinated by the augmented reality field since I was like in design school. So my background is in design, but I also have a business background because I was an exchange student at the Harvard Business School. But I noticed that so designers were the early adopters of the technology. They were mostly using augmented reality to visualize 3D models in real life before making like certain prototypes. So that accelerated the design process because you could like create something on a CAD program like Rhino or SolidWorks or Blender, and then you would see it immediately in AR, and you would see the changes there. But I didn't want to focus just on like the designers' use cases. I thought that AR could have so many applications, and since I had the design background, I wanted to focus on a physical design. So I studied industrial design. I then shifted to product design, like for software products. But at the really, really beginning, I wasn't really focused on like creating content like I am right now. I started to work on an augmented reality device that would be considered like an alternative to glasses. We were calling with my co-founder at the time, we were calling this device the AirPods for AR. And I think that was a really, exciting project. The way we were like doing that was connecting this AirPods type of device to smart lenses. because smart lenses are definitely an alternative device to glasses. I'm not sure whether the audience is familiar with like glasses or just normal glasses that are supposed to like show you digital information. And I thought that, those devices, I didn't envision like everyone wearing glasses for augmented reality. And we wanted to create something that was like smaller, and we wanted to create something that could be paired with smart lenses. And so the main technical challenge there was like hosting enough components on the smart lenses to make the experience valuable. And the components right now are like really heavy. They require a lot of processing power. And, in order to like launch something on a smart lens, you need to get FDA approval and things like that. So with my co-founder, we said, why don't we like outsource the processing power and we put it on these AirPods type of devices, and then we connect the smart lenses to these devices that are going to be close to the ear, like close enough, and we connect that. And so we started to focus on that. We ended up like filing a patent, but then at some point, like I remember the story, I looked my co-founders in the eyes and we were like, well, we're not really ready. And the market is not ready. Like no one is ready to even like use this type of product. It was like really sci-fi. It was kind of like rough, the prototype. It wasn't working that well. It was just one color. Yeah, you could see AR, but like overlaid information, but just in one color. It was green, and the field of view was like very small. So you would just see like maybe like a couple of points and very, very small sticky figures. So we're like, that's not really, ready for consumers adoption or like for consumers market. And so we then decided to like focus on content creation, and that's how we like started Omnia, basically, to allow creators to be connected to businesses, like the other problem of the market. And we also said to ourselves, well, if we focus on content creation and we focus on facilitating connections, then we're not really bound or like tied to any device, because content is truly the differentiation point between a device and the other. Like at the end of the day, people will want to look at like what content is available. So that's how we shifted.
Awesome, great. This is very interesting, and I can tell that you have passion for this, and I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Can you share? I mean, you mentioned this, that you're not sure that the audience is aware of what exactly AR means and all the technologies. And I must admit that when I went to your website a few months ago, I was amazed. The website is very well designed, and I love the use cases. There were use cases that I wasn't aware of, and probably for you they seem obvious. So maybe you can share a few like very common use case. I mean, maybe not common, like use cases that some people don't even realize that they are beneficial. Let's say I saw that the menu scanning with the restaurants, that you can like see the dish. This is an example. Or any use cases for Ecom store owners, because the majority of the audience are Ecom store owners. But I'm just curious to hear your take about AR with regards to what people don't realize that AR can do.
Well, yeah, that's a great question. So if we take like a step back and if we look at like experiences on social media right now, I don't know if you use Instagram, but I mean most people use Instagram, and I also saw like a recent increase of like use cases on like Snapchat and TikTok. The most common use cases that people don't realize they're AR use cases are AR filters. So like when you open like a story and you see like a monster face on top of your face, or like you play around with like some games that are like showing on top of your head, that's AR, and that's using like face recognition to kind of overlay information on top of your face. That's like a use case, and brands are using that to launch new products. They're using that to increase to have like that brand exposure to the millions of users that are using these platforms. They're using AR filters to kind of gamify experiences. So the most common, like AR entered the mainstream with like Pokemon Go. And that's like there was a huge experience that show like how the gamification aspect of an AR experience could truly be like the differentiation from like any type of like other marketing use case. But yeah, the most common right now is AR filter in terms of like use case. I don't think that's going to be the main use case if AR specific devices are going to be coming out. I think there's going to be like more, utility based use cases. That's mostly like for consumers. Most of the use cases right now are B2B focused, so augmented reality and I have to make a differentiation. So when I talk about augmented reality, I'm not talking about virtual reality. So the main difference is that with augmented reality, you can see overlay digital content in your space, and you don't need a specific device for it. So you can use your mobile phone to see digital assets in your space. Whereas virtual reality, you need to wear goggles. You need to wear like fully occlusive goggles that don't let you see the real world, and that's called like virtual reality. When you're like immersed in a game and you have like a 360-degree view of that game. And so I'm saying like games because VR is mostly used for games. Now going back to like B2B use cases for AR, we're mostly talking about like training your workforce. You can use VR for that, but you can also use AR. And the specific use case for AR is remote collaboration. So I'm an employer and I'm based in, let's say in Dubai, and I'm going to the US because I have a factory in the US. I cannot like physically go there and teach all of the new employees there how they should operate a machine. So I create an AR experience where I overlay information of where these people should like operate and what like gears they should turn, what like machine they should activate for which type of process. That is not only beneficial when it comes to like cutting costs, because you don't need to invest in like, training in on sites and, traveling and things like that. But it also improves like retention rates. So there was an Oxford study around like retention rates for AR. When you show something in augmented reality, people tend to remember it for longer. And it's usually around like 66% improvements in like conversion, not conversion rates, like retention rates. And so that's like a really interesting number. Now connecting that to the experience that you mentioned of augmented reality menus, there's also an interesting data point there kind of connected to the retention rate. But when you digitize your menu as a restaurant owner, you can understand exactly how people are, engaging with your food, engaging with your dishes. And when you digitize an experience that was a physical experience, like me giving you the menu and then you looking at the menu, you also have data from it. So you understand what people are looking at. You can improve your food, items for future like menu additions. You can also automate the customization aspect, because if I see something and I want to customize it and I customize it and I see in real life how it's going to be customized, I also tend to buy more. So again, there was an Oxford study again of seeing like food items from a traditional menu. And the traditional menu at the time was like truly a paper menu, even though with COVID, we introduced QR codes anyway. But yeah, traditional menu, paper menus. And then they did another like study, like an A/B test on people that were seeing the food in AR. There was an increasing, they called it craveability. So there was an increase in orders for people viewing the food in AR. Because when you see something in AR, it makes you hungry. And if you're hungry and you're looking at a dish, then you tend to order that dish. So you increase also the sales, the conversion rates, and things like that. Those are kind of like the benefits of implementing something like that. But yeah,
that's very interesting, because I mean, I didn't think about this deeply, and I didn't realize like the benefits from the data collection perspective and the benefit that the business has, regardless of improving the customer experience. It's also a way to like take offline operations and make them some to a certain degree online or digitized, as you mentioned. So for example, you can take two dishes or the same dish and just present it differently, and like maybe split test how you present the dishes and see if a certain way of presentation of the dish increase the conversion, the amount of people ordering this. So it makes a lot of sense because it adds more data to the restaurant, which is fascinating.
And if you think about like the data aspect and digitization aspect, think about like how many restaurant owners put QR codes in their like restaurants because of COVID, right? Right now, if you go to like any restaurant, really, any pub, anything like where you have to eat inside, there's a QR code. People, it's not that they removed the QR codes after the main like waves of COVID happened. They kept it there because they realized that everyone has a phone now, everyone has a QR code scanner built into their phones, and so everyone can just scan the QR code and see the menu with AR. But when you scan the QR code right now, you just see like the paper menu in on a web URL. So it didn't really change the whole like ordering experience. And so what was once like the paper menu is now digitized. With AR, you can just scan the QR code and see the AR menu. So how people get to ordering the food doesn't change. So you don't invest in like educating your clients on how they should order the food, because you can just put the QR code. It's just once they scan the QR code, instead of seeing like a digitized menu that was once the paper menu, they just see the AR experience.
Awesome. And I want to steer the conversation a bit towards like ecom or retail. What are like common use cases in ecom or retail? I know that brands are doing like mirrors that showing how the clothes will look on yourself or stuff like this, or watch on your hand, how will it look, or sunglasses. But I'm sure that you have more knowledge than I do. So I'm curious to hear what have you seen lately.
So I've seen a lot of use cases for e-commerce. I mean, e-commerce, like the most like common one, like you said, is like an AR preview. So just like an object that instead of looking at it from a photo, you see it in AR, you see it in your space. I really think that, and it might not be something that is shared across the industry, but I really think that AR previews are not really, use cases for any type of product. Because there's like, I saw brands that complain about the use of AR and the ROI of AR, but they were selling like, fridge boxes, like a normal like box where you could put things inside and those things would be kept cold. I don't really think, that's a good use of AR, because everyone knows like roughly how big freezing box is. I don't think people need to see that in AR in their spaces. I think it's mostly like beneficial for like furniture companies. If you need to like buy a furniture product and you need to see it in your space, the first like use case that came out was like the IKEA use case with the app that they developed. So that's like a pretty common one. And that gives you a sense of like how you can fit your furniture pieces in your house. These are the pretty common one. In retail, like you said, mirror use cases. So I go in front of a mirror and I see like overlaid clothes. They're like digital clothes so that I can try them out. I would say if you're in store, I don't see this like becoming mainstream, because if you're like already in the store, you might want to try out the clothes internally. So like actually trying them out. I think it would be beneficial for like brands that are like smaller brands and brands that want to reach new customers in new geographies. So if I'm a small brand and I'm selling clothes, like in the UK, I'm selling clothes in London, I have people coming to my store, and that's really like a portion of potential customers that are coming to my store, and I let them try out clothes, and that's how I convert them. They like the clothes, they buy it. But if I want to reach like new customers in areas where I don't have a retail store, that's when the power of AR comes into play. So letting other people that cannot come to my store try out clothes. And in that case, the challenge there, like technically from the development point of view, is making sure that the cloth, when you change size, is truly like fitting the person, and making sure that the measures of the body are taken like, inch by inch, or like centimeter by centimeter, even like millimeter by millimeter, so that it truly fits the person. So that's for like fashion products. So like e-commerce and retail is like general, then it's the product that affects what the AR use case which you're going to end up with. And this is what we actually do at Omnia. Like it turns out like 77% of like mid-sized companies don't understand all of these variables that go into an AR experience. And so we help them make a decision when it comes to like understanding what use cases make sense for them and what features they should implement based on the industry and the product they're selling. So this is for fashion. Try-ons like glasses, jewelry, watches, like you see it on your wrist, and you can also like, the other thing is you can customize these products. So instead of like launching a physical item, because like launching a physical item costs a lot of money, right? You need to invest in like design, you need to invest in engineering, you need to invest in manufacturing, you need to improve the supply chain, you need to take a look at the margins. Not to mention that hardware is difficult on its own, and you need a lot of like upfront capital. But if I want to launch a new line of watches or a new line of like clothes, I can just launch AR watches, AR products,
Nice.
and I see how people react to it. If people like it, then I might actually invest in the physical product. So that's like a huge use case, like letting people try out things that don't yet exist to see whether they're gonna buy it or not. Kind of like like putting people on a wait list for a software product, but doing the same things for like physical products. I think that's very powerful.
Nice.
And
do you know of anybody doing this?
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting.
Not really.
Because it's an amazing idea. I mean, it's awesome.
Not really. Not really. I wish more smaller brands could like did this, because like it's not really expensive. Like the other thing is that most people, we are serving like marketing people right now. And every time when we ask like, have you heard of AR? And we let them like choose from like multiple choices replies, they say AR, that sounds expensive to me. And that's, that's a big problem, because you don't need that much to like digitize a product and just create a try on, especially now with like low code tools. But no, I don't know many brands doing that, honestly. Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, so go ahead, because I interrupted you. So do you remember what you were about to say?
Yeah, no, I was saying that when we talk about like some other retail use cases that are now related to fashion or like furniture that are the most common ones. Imagine, are you familiar with like Walmart or like these big like retail chains in the US? So like, how can Walmart use AR inside the retail shop, like inside the grocery store? So I enter the shop and I see a big like flyer or like a big, kind of like a billboard of all the discount, all of the products that are like on discount for the day. And then I see a QR code. The QR code says, if you scan this QR code, you're gonna get an additional 5% discount, or you create some sort of like incentive for people to scan the QR code. Just like right now, you create an incentive for people to download an app. Food delivery companies do that all the time. So I scan the QR code, and then instead of like seeing just a normal web page, I see a web AR page. So I don't need an app. I scan the QR code. I'm immediately into the AR experience, and I see a retail in-store navigation, like an indoor navigation experience, where I'm taken to like the products that are on discount. That way, the grocery store can sell more products that they want to get rid of, or they want to like just sell more because they're like on discount. And I make sure that the people are actually going there, because right now I see the discounts, but most of the times like I need to ask the person, where is the product on discount? I cannot find it. There's like thousands of products in American grocery stores, and sometimes you get lost. So that way you can kind of like guide them to where the products are. There's been a lot of concept videos of this type of use case out there, but I haven't seen it implemented. So it's unfortunate, because I would personally use it.
What is stopping people from, do you think, what is stopping people from implementing this? Like lack of knowledge, or a legal perspective that I'm not aware of, or the fact that people are not aware of this?
I think like big companies are kind of aware of this though. The problem of like not understanding how AR could be used is not merely for like enterprise clients. Enterprise clients, they know that this is a thing. Right now, unfortunately, I mean, not unfortunately, but most companies are like today are investing more on AI. Even though advancements in AI are also going to benefit AR, and we can chat about how that's going to work. But like they're not two unrelated technologies. It's not either or. So that's the first thing. Second thing is that enterprise clients, like a company like Walmart, for instance, thinks that it needs to use AR for its internal operations. Like I said, like the employees' workforce training, like use cases like that, instead of like using it on the consumers. So I think they're mostly focusing on that. Main challenges like in the industry for like enterprise, smaller brands in general, like regardless of the size of the client, are mostly when it comes to like content management. So I need to make sure that I keep track of, all the contents that I'm like digitizing. So digital twins management. I need to make sure that the different AR experiences are performing, as I want them to perform. So analytics, measuring the analytics of all these things. Right now, there's not a unified single solution to keep track of all the most important metrics, regardless of where you deploy the content. And we're actually building something at Omnia, and we're testing things out. We can talk about that as well, where we allow like smaller brands, bigger brands, brands that have used AR in the past, brands that have not used AR in the past, doesn't really matter who, but we allow them to track the most important metrics from any deployment platform. So social media, custom website, you did it, you deploy like an AR campaign on a marketing collateral, so on a physical asset, and we let them like track the most important metrics, and then we overlay on top of that AR specific metrics. Because right now the metrics that we track when we talk about like marketing metrics are CTR, CPC, cost per click, things like that, click-through rates, engagement time. These are great metrics, and they can be applied to AR, like don't get me wrong, but they're not really AR specific metrics. And when we talk about like AR specific metrics, it would be cool if you could track where the users are spending most of their time in the experience.
Yeah.
So think of it like a heat map, like Oddjar, for instance. Oddjar lets you like see where the users are spending their like time on a website, by doing that for a 3D session. So that would be like an AR specific metric. And there's not many tools that are offering this. I think there's just one for now.
That's amazing. Never thought about this. So do you mind, let's say I'm an interior designer of a retail store and I have a big project coming up. What exactly is the flow that I need to go through in Omnia, and what do I get at the end? So I'm assuming that I go to the marketplace, I look for a creator that seems to have created a solution that suits my needs, and then I discuss with him, and then I need to implement this. Do you guys help me implement? Does he help me implement? What is like the A to Z the process, if you don't mind sharing?
Absolutely, I'll be able to do that. So let's say, you said an interior designer.
Interior designer of a fashion store. Let's say interior designer of Zara in Israel.
Right. So I'm an interior designer of Zara. I go to Omnia and I immediately land on a page where, so imagine if Pinterest had a child, and that child was more professionally oriented, meaning imagine if Pinterest and LinkedIn merged.
Okay.
And Pinterest was made to like allow users to search for objects and interesting mood boards, whereas LinkedIn was mostly made like to connect professionals together. So on Omnia, I land on a page where I see augmented reality projects published by creators or software providers. And then we improve the experience by allowing businesses to filter through these projects. So I land on this page, which is the user-generated content feed page, and I can filter, in this case, by product type, so fashion clothes. And then I can filter the use cases by industry. So in this case would be fashion. I can filter the use cases by business school. So I suppose that you would want to improve like conversion rates. You can sell more clothes. So I can select these things, and I would see filtered out all the use cases that apply to me. And by the way, it's totally free to browse these projects. It's totally free to create an account. So you can start browsing these projects, and at some point you scroll down like 5 to 6 projects, you see all the different variables, all the different features that you can implement, and you see like a project that you really like. And you think that makes sense for Zara, for your business, that is. You can then click on ordering your AR experience. You can click on like the main call to action button from that page, and you're taken to a page where you have 2 options. You can either create a project brief from scratch, So project brief means like putting the project requirements that you think might be needed for that specific project. So it's totally customizable. You would put basically things like how many fashion items you want to digitize, where do you want your project to be deployed, whether you want it to be deployed in store, on an email, because you can put a QR code in an email and people can like, see the product there. Whether you want to implement it on a physical marketing collateral, it really depends, like on the website. So we let you choose like from these options. You would put like, ideally, if you have already something in mind, you would put your budget in mind. You would put like, who's the main point of contact for this project. And then at the end of that process, we match you with relevant creators that have expertise in that specific use case. So not just, any creator, which is like the main differentiation for us. We don't match you with like any creator. We match you with creators that have expertise in the industry, expertise in the use case, expertise with the type of like size of business you are. And then you can basically send that project brief to the match creators. You can send it to as many creators as you want. They have time to review it, usually 48 hours. And if they accept to work on whatever it is that you want to work on, like it could be a proof of concept, it could be an actual project that you want to launch, whether they want to work on that or not, you'll get a notification. And then there's going to be an in-platform messaging system where you can exchange details on the scope of work. You can exchange details on the exact payments. The creator will send a proposal, and you can kind of like do the back and forth in there. Now, the main difference between us and, let's say, an Upwork type of experience, I don't really like when people make that comparison, because Upwork doesn't really have like a discovery page, like an engagement side to the marketplace. And Upwork, the other thing is that the main problem is that businesses don't understand all of the features and use cases. I mean, not that they don't understand, they're unaware of all the things that are going on. How can they be sure that that creator that they can get on Upwork is the right one if they don't even know like exactly what features and use cases they need to work? So we allow them to like discover that. And as I said, they can like decide the project details from the messaging system, and they can basically, the business owners, the business users can manage the content on Omnia. So there's going to be a calendar view where you measure all of the milestones of the project. You can exchange files directly into the marketplace, and those are AR specific files. So they could be 3D models, they could be videos of the AR experience, and you can kind of like comment on these things, ask for reviews, ask for like modifications directly into the Omnia marketplace, manage the payment as well. So that's like a given. And we're going to do all of these things. We're going to be able to like allow business users to do all these things from the launch in June. Now, I told you that you can order the project that you see in the user-generated content feed via the project brief. The other option, like, because there's two options, is just using a template solution. So you don't want to spend too much time like filling out a form, even though it takes like no more than 5 minutes. And you just want to use like a template solution of a use case that is really common. Let's say AR try-on. That's going to be one of the templates. There's a fixed price to that template. The customization there is like kind of limited because already it's a prepackaged solution, obviously, but it's quick. So you would select the prepackaged solution, and then the matching system, the in-messaging like back and forth is the same as if you were to order like a project from the project brief. It just, lets you like send it directly to creators. Maybe the other, main value proposition and differentiation is that we don't always like match you with a creator. We might match you with a software provider that can give you access to local tools so that you can like develop their experience in-house. What's the benefit of, getting access to these tools on Omnia? All of the software providers that decided to sell their softwares on the Omnia marketplace have an extended freemium period for all Omnia users and have a discount once you convert to a paid customer. So I can have, 30 days premium instead of like 14 days that I would normally get if I went to like the website of the tool. and then I would get like a 15%. It's usually like 10 to 15% discount on the plan that I choose. So those are kind of the options.
Awesome. And just to get just to understand like a ballpark, what is like the average? I know it's a very broad question, but what are the average investment required by businesses? I mean, if I only have like $2,000 to invest, is it relevant or not really?
So of course we need to make sure that your budget matches like your expectations in terms of like ROI, right? Just like, investors are doing that to us. Like if I invest this, I get this. Well, we need to make sure that, there's a balance between what you're investing, like what you're expecting us to achieve with that investment. But in terms of like AR cost, imagine that an AR experience can go from like $2,000, we can say like $1,500. We can say that to millions of dollars. So when we talk about like average, I can tell you like the average cost of specific projects. For instance, like the AR filters project that we were discussing, you don't need to spend like more than $5,000. Honestly, you can spend like 1,500 plus. Average there, 2,500. When we talk about a web AR project, and obviously these numbers, are affected by geography as well. But like a web AR project can cost anywhere from, $5,000 to like $200K. I would say the most like common web AR project that will probably be, ordered through Omnia is going to be around $15,000. If you really want like to add like animation, sound effects, and things like that. And if we truly find the right partner based on the budget, I don't think like you wouldn't need to spend more than that, especially for a first time project. And then augmented reality applications are truly the expensive ones. So augmented reality applications, you need to invest in development, you need to invest in like all of the features, all of the, the maintenance of the code, updates. You will need to go through a review from the App Store to get approved. You need to pay that. You need to also include the in-app purchases cut that Apple takes. So we really don't suggest the augmented reality app route unless you have very specific features, really complex features that can only be added to an augmented reality application and not a web AR project. But that's usually like very expensive. Like you need to start at least 200K plus for an augmented reality application.
Okay, cool. And we already talked about like averages. So what is like the normal duration of this type of project? So let's say I go to Omnia, I order something pretty basic. For example, the filters. Will it take me 2 days to get it, or 2 months, or 6 months? So just trying to get like a ballpark of the length of the duration of the project.
So right now, if you talk about like the different steps in the value chain, from like when a business is trying to understand what to do when it actually gets started, when it's actually deployed, it's like a research phase. And research is on the technology itself, on the creators themselves, on the partners that you would need to choose. So that's research. Then it's like the creation, pipeline. And so you go from initial review to like, if you do like 2-week sprints, which is usually the case, you have, if it's a simple project, you might have 3 reviews. So you start, you have 3 reviews, and then you like review the final thing. So like five steps, which is why we have like the payment that is connected to those like milestones, or like 5 different payments. If we're talking about an AR filter, it wouldn't probably take more than 2 months if you consider like, if we factor in like the back and forth. And on the research side specifically, Omnia is usually like 7 times faster on average when it comes to like researching your options, researching your creator, or researching your software provider, like tool provider. And so like 7 times faster on average compared to like other marketplaces, mostly based in the UK. And so you go from like researching and deployments in such a quick time. It's usually like 2 months, 3 months for an AR filter, less than like other marketplaces. So that saves, huge amount of like money and time.
Nice. This is great. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Aldo. We've covered a lot. I really feel like going into the website again and seeing all the
I finished my water.
Awesome. So where can people find out more about you and maybe ask you a few questions, reach out? Obviously the website, but also social media channels. Do you mind like inviting people to connect?
So you guys can follow me on LinkedIn. My name is Aldo Petruzzeli. I'll probably share like all of the social media handles with you. We have an Instagram profile that's like company's Instagram profile. The handle there is Omnia.ar. So you can find us there. We're mostly like active on LinkedIn and Instagram, I would say. We also have a Twitter profile. The handle there is Omnia.io. But yeah, I can share all this stuff with you. My email is aldo@theomnia.io. And stay tuned because we're gonna be able to like launch the product in June, and we're also gonna update the website so that you'll see all of the different features that we've been adding over the months. For creators, if there's like any creator in the audience, we have a pretty active Discord community that we plan on like growing, and people can get like faster tech support. They're gonna be able to get like faster tech support if they submitted like a ticket on Discord. So I'll share that as well.
Awesome. For sure. We'll share everything in the show notes. Cool. Anything else that you want to mention?
I would like to like mention that for any business user that is interested in learning more about AR or like wants to like order a project and try it out, we're offering $100 discount for any like prepackaged solution that can start at $2,000 plus. And we're also offering free consultation. It's on us. We'd be happy to like tell you more about how you could use AR in your business.
That sounds amazing, and for sure we will share in the show notes. And I will also refer. I have already a few people in mind that I would like to refer to you. And the examples that I gave you regarding the retail designer, I have a guy that I'm consulting to. She's a retail interior fashion designer in Israel. So I'm going to connect with you guys, but we'll do this offline. Anyway, thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun, very valuable. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, guys. This is Yaron again. Just a few more things before you take off. Number one, if you want to learn more about e-commerce and marketing, make sure you check out our YouTube channel, which is called EcomXFactor Official. Number two, check out our Facebook group, which is called EcomXFactor Marketing and E-commerce Mastermind. This is a great place to ask questions and connect with other business owners. And last but not least, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to share it with your friends and colleagues, plus leave a review at your favorite podcast app.